So you're looking for the best builds to play in the upcoming Halloween event. Then this video is perfect for you. I will not only tell you the best builds in my opinion, and I showcase 5 different builds and 1 core build even, but I will also tell you what the Halloween event is if you're new, and of course what is so great about it and all the good things that you can do to prepare for it even more. And be sure to watch the whole video to not miss out on any tips, and most importantly, I have a very important tip at the end as well. With that much said, let's thank my dear supporters that help me keep the lights on, and without much further ado, let's jump straight in. Halloween is a nice festival, probably the best festival in the whole year, and it has amazing rewards while also having, in my opinion, the coolest range of festivities, activities that you can get done. If you want to know all about it, how to get it done and everything, how it works, be sure to check out my upcoming Halloween guide. And of course also check out my Halloween weekly guide if you want to know how it works. All of that coming very soon. Or check out the description if it's out already when you watch this video. What is so great about the event, specifically the Mad King's Labyrinth? That's the thing that I did not mention yet. This is probably the most active part of the event because it gives you a lot of gold. Yeah, you just farm the mobs there over and over, maybe do some events depending on what kind of farm you're doing, and you get a lot of gold via loot drops, specifically the candy corn and the candy corn bags. That's the most amount of gold that you get. But the important part here is you need to tag all the mobs to actually get all the loot. If you don't have a build that is not tagging all the mobs, you will lose in value for farming this. So you want to get a build that tags a lot of mobs. So how does tagging in Guild Wars 2 work? Tagging in Guild Wars 2 works like if you hit a mob and have a specific amount of damage dealt, you will get loot for it. But the cool part is it doesn't need to be damage. You can also provide some utility buffs like boons, like just venoms or stuff like that, can also count towards an ally, and the ally then does enough damage and you get loot as well. The same goes for healing. That means that in general, you want to have a build that is able to tag all the mobs. And of course, you want to have a lot of mobility because you run around quite fast in this event, because you want to get all the mobs. And as soon as they die very fast. You will just go to the next spot. That's the whole repetition there. So you want to have a build that is mobile and tags a lot. Another thing that I have to mention here is a big chunk of the amount of gold that you get from the lab farm is also coming via experience. So a new player might level up their mastery very fast because you get a lot of experience points there. Or you can get a lot of spirit shards if you want that. But if you want to get a maximum amount of gold, you would then convert the spirit shards that you get here into gold. If you want to know all the details how to do that and how to set up the maximum amount of boosters and experience buff that you can get, be sure to check out this video. It's a little bit older, but it's still perfectly up to date. And I'm sorry for the slightly worse audio there. Before we go now to the best builds, I want to remind you, if you like this video, be sure to leave a like. If you want to see more content like this, don't forget to subscribe. But now let's jump straight into the best builds. I want to give a small disclaimer here at the beginning. This is my selection of builds, so it's not the only builds that you can play, by far not. Every single build works, and the cool part about this event is you don't even have to have an expansion for that. You don't have to have specific gear, because some groups even recommend to not run any gear, because then the damage that you do is less and everyone can tag the mobs. I don't care about this. I show my builds with the gear. You can unequip the gear, you can run different gear, it doesn't matter. It's more about the build itself, what it provides, rather than the damage output. So keep that in mind. And of course, one of the most important points that I have to mention here is auto loot. If you don't have it yet, this is one of the most important masteries during this event, because it will just give you all the loot passively in your bag. So really get that. It's really important. If you don't have it yet, that can be quite annoying. Of course, it's not a game breaker. You can still play and farm the event perfectly fine. You will not lose any value if you press F all the time. That's the thing here. But in general, that's my tips. Now let's jump straight into the builds. I will go over the builds very quickly because that's just a showcase, and like I said, the gear doesn't matter too much. The first one being here, Scrapper. I think Scrapper or any engineer spec with a flamethrower is amazing because the flamethrower attack does a lot of damage in a cone in front. Very easy, especially if you have quickness. You can be very fast how much damage you deal with it. And just take a lot of mobs. It doesn't matter that you deal damage, or you will deal enough damage to take them. I run full Berserker, doesn't matter, you can just change it, I don't care about it. You can run Hammer or Rival, both work. The only thing that I would recommend is having Superior Sigil of Fire on there, so that you can get some nice AoE attack with it and tag even more mobs. And then I would recommend going for Relic of the Pack, so that you can provide even more super speed and some more boons, so that you are able to tag mobs that you might not have hit before, because you can provide some damage buffs to your allies. And then of course run as many gyros as possible, so that you can provide some nice super speed. and that means that you can run around faster with blast finishes and stuff. You also provide some quickness with this build, and like I said, quickness is really good because that means you will be able to do a lot of damage very fast with the cone attack, and of course the gyro here, the shredder gyro on top of that. So the traits would be something like that. I just run the very damaging trait in explosives for firearms. You can go for anything, it doesn't really matter. Important part is Scrapper, that you have the super speed trait, so you can run around fast. You can run this build with Celestial. The only important 2 traits here are actually this one and this one, so that you can provide a lot of boons to your allies. That's about it. Next up we have Necromancer. Necromancer, this is just an honorable mention here because I don't have a specific build for that one. You can just run any Necromancer, Harbinger, Reaper, doesn't matter what kind of gear, just run a Staff. Staff has so much AoE damage from big range, a lot of short cooldowns, you will get a lot of tags with this. So this is just an honorable mention. I don't want to like say this is a specific build, just follow with a Staff, the tag, be fast and tag everything. That's how it works. Next up we have the Core Guardian here. This is just one example of a core build that works very well. All the classes that I mentioned you can easily play as a core build as well. This is just the one that I think is very easy to do. For gear I would run full Celestial gear, but doesn't really matter. I would run a Staff for sure with a Fire Sigil and maybe Agility, but it doesn't really matter. Again, it's just about the weapon that you have, and you can run a Spear if you have access to it, but if you don't, it's perfectly fine as well, for just a lot of AoE damage. And for your relic, I actually would go with Relic of the Hollowsmith because it gives you some nice AoE attack on the elite skill. It's quite nice to tag even more mobs. In general, this build is more on the supportive side, while it's, so to say, tagging with boons. And that means that you can provide a lot of boons via your traits. So you run Honor, Virtues, and Radiance. Radiance is just here for the renew of the skill 1, F skill 1, when you kill a foe, and you kill a foe a lot of times in this specific farm. That means that you reset it like crazy, means that you provide a lot of burning to your allies, a lot of boons, and that means you can tag even more, so you can spam that like insanely often. Then you have Virtues for a lot of boons, just some more help for your allies, and Master of Concentration to increase the duration of your concentration, but you can run any concentration. Burning Flames or Hollowed Grot, I would say, are best. And then you have Honor for the big increase of your symbol duration and also some nice healing there, and of course your passive symbol on the healing skill. So a lot of passive value. You can see how much boons I can provide in a very short amount of time. I just push all my buttons here, and you see that's crazy. For a core build I get like insane amount of value here, and all of those will be able to tag allies, and I get all the loot. For utility skills, like I said, run any elite healing skill, doesn't really matter too much. I like Hallowed Crow for stability and stand your ground, so that you provide a unique boon to actually be able to tag your allies. And then you have even more unique boons with Aegis and some swiftness to run around faster, and then of course Feel My Wrath for nice super speed and some quickness. And if you want to run this build with an elite spec, you can just easily exchange one of the trade lines and go for Firebrand, and you have like the perfect setup again and can provide a lot of quickness if you run the Firebrand quickness trades. That's just the core version of this build, so to say. Next up we have Mesmer. I would say Mesmer is very interesting. You can play specifically Mirage. It doesn't really matter again which kind of gear you're running. I run Berserker gear, but everything works here. You want to run a Greatsword, and if you want you can even run a second Greatsword with an energy sigil on both of them, so you can just spam your ambush skill of the Greatsword. If you don't run that, you can just run Sigil of Fire and Sigil of Stamina, so that you can spam your dodges way more often. In this event you killed foes so often that you will spam that anyway, and as you can see here, the ambush split surge will deal a lot of damage to a lot of foes, and it's 1200 range. It's like a laser show, it's a lot of fun, and with the traits it also provides alacrity. I just go for Relic of Speed, so that whenever you have Swiftness, which you should have permanently, you have 66% movement speed increase, which is insane. You're running around like with super speed. That's the general idea of the build. You have a lot of damage trait, doesn't really matter. You provide some passive fury to your allies, but in general it's more about you provide some alacrity and deal a lot of damage with Infinite Horizon and creating clones. They also use the ambush skill then and deal some damage, and you have like a lot of damage and piercing and whatnot. It's really good. Next up we have Thief. Thief is like, you can play Daredevil, whatever you like, Core Thief, Deadeye, whatever you like. The important part here is that you have a shortbow. Shortbow is amazing, does the AoE attack and the auto attack even because it bounces. 2 skill gives some nice AoE, and the 5 skill is very nice for mobility because you can teleport, and again the 4 skill is also nice AoE, so you have a lot of AoE already. You have the steal. If you are Core Thief or Daredevil, you can even port to your target with that. It's really cool, so you can be very mobile. I like to run this specific Daredevil build with the Relic of Sakiros if you want. Any relic works perfectly fine, Relic of the Thief, whatever you like, just something that helps you out here. I like to have pistols in the offhand, but you can run Dagger or Staff for more damage. I just think it's very easy to use the unload there. Full Berserker gear here, whatever you like I said, gear doesn't matter in this farm. maybe even go for no gear, whatever. And then tagging thief would be like deadly arts, trickery, and daredevil. Just deadly arts for some damage increases, trickery for some nice boon providing to your allies, so you get some nice boons here, you can see, also to allies, so you can get some tags with that, and some initiative on swapping. And then you get here physical skills give you endurance and you deal more damage, and when you dodge you apply some damage. That's the important one here, so you can dodge and get some damage around you, and you can repeat that all over because you have the dodging sigil on there. So that means whenever you kill a foe, you will get another endurance, and you can dodge again, which is an AoE attack. So you see the synergy between those traits here. You can have the channel rigger for even more endurance and healing. You have a nice teleport, a shadow step. You have even more endurance here. You have an AoE attack with an evade with dagger storm, and you have some haste here. But the utility skills can be completely exchanged, for example, for venoms if you want to get some AoE going. I would recommend to be celestial with that then, so that your damage will also scale from condition damage. And this is a unique thing that can also be shared to allies and get some nice damage output and tagging potential as well. But you can see even with the, for example, infiltrator signet, you can move even faster because you have another teleport. But this build is very, very fast, focused on dealing damage on its own. If you run the Berserker version, if you run Celestial, you can go for Venoms, even the healing Venom and stuff, and you can share that to allies and get a lot of value from that. But it's really like this can be played with Daredevil, Core Thief, whatever you like. It's all about the short bow and of course the Venoms if you run that. And if you run the Berserker version, I think Daredevil is by far the best because you have the dodge empowerment, which also deals damage around you. Now to the last build, in my opinion, the best build to farm with is definitely Herald. I'm sorry, this build is probably already run by like 90% of the people. You run Herald because you provide a lot of passive boons from your facets. You run whatever gear you have. I just run the perfect meta build with Berserker and Dragon Pieces, whatever you have. Then you go with, of course, Relic of Speed. If you want to move faster, you can go for the perfect meta build as well and go for Relic of Thief for the maximum of damage. But like I said, damage doesn't matter, so speed is probably the best. So you move around like crazy fast in combat. You have permanent swiftness, of course, sword, staff, whatever you like. Can go for a ranged weapon with hammer as well if you want to, really. But for short bow doesn't really matter too much. But like I said, it's more about giving boons to allies, and you can do that very, very easily. Just give, like, you see here, so many boons to allies, and that will passively stack, and you can just like every now and then swap legends, and then you get the energy back and just follow the tag. You don't have to auto tag at all, and you will get all the boons to allies. The allies will kill mobs, and you will get the loot. That's how it works. It's really, really strong, really easy. It doesn't matter which kind of gear you have for that. The traits also don't matter too much. I just run the meta build here. Devastation, Invocation for some nice boons on legend swapping and some more crit chance, but whatever, doesn't really matter. It's more about like getting the Herald one, gives some movement speed on for each upkeep you use. You can also exchange it, for example, for Elder's Respite, so that your healing power or your region is increased. That helps a lot if you, for example, run Celestial. Then you guarantee that when an ally gets hit by an enemy, they will get the healing from you, because the highest region is actually the one that ticks. And if you have that trait, it's quite likely that you will be the one that ticks. Then you have some nice passive boons and just again like some quickness. That's the important one. But you can see it's very easy to provide a lot of boons to your allies. Even the protection one is obviously really strong because it's a rather rare boon. And then you can of course get easy like upkeep of all the boons as well. As you can see, really strong build, probably the best one and the most passive one to actually farm. Every build that I showed here works. There are a lot of other ones that work. It's just my selection of builds. And before I end this video, I want to mention the last tip that I mentioned in the beginning. I would highly recommend to clean your inventories so that the inventories is almost empty, so that you can use all that to farm if you want to prepare for the event, because that helps a lot just to farm even more and don't have to waste time to prepare the inventory when you are already in the event. I would also recommend to empty the bank or make the bank somewhat clean. And of course, I want to mention that you should be able to get all the boosters ready and that kind of stuff, so that you are able to get the most amount of experience. So for example, use the Candycorn Gobbler, maybe the Snowflake Gobbler, maybe lose all the celebration boosters, the birthday boosters that you have, and of course use the guild experience booster, that stuff. And maybe if you have access to it, also the banners, all that stuff you should get and be able to pop whenever you need it, so that you can get even more spirit shards. It's like I said, a major part of the gold influx. And of course, I would also recommend, if you want to min-max with food, you can even go for Dragon's Breath buns, because they also give you a big power increase if you really wanted to. But of course, like I said, gear and stats don't matter too much. I think Ascended food or any food that is giving you more gold, more magic find, and that kind of stuff helps a lot. I would say Ascended Food is the best because it gives you some more karma, some magic find, and increases all experience gain. That can be very helpful. But of course, if you're only killing mobs, then this one is not that important. You can go for any food that gives you more experience. Best one for magic find, of course, is also good so that you increase the rarity of loot that you find. And of course, magic find boosters on top of that would be even better. I hope this was helpful. If it was, be sure to leave a like, subscribe for more content like this. I hope you will grind a lot of this event, hopefully with my builds here, and have a lot of fun with that. Thanks a lot for watching. Thanks again to all my supporters, and I hope to see you all in the next video.